It's a lot of things that I did not know about depression. Depression, when you go through it, it's not that easy.
There isn't a big difference between boys and girls being depressed. The majority of teens who are in high school believe that they do not need help for their depression.
A lot of people really don't know the difference between sadness and depression.
Most of the people who said that they didn't get help, they said that they didn't need help.
I want to start this video to let people know that they're not alone and that a lot of people have a lot of different depressions and that everybody has their own story. A lot of people self-harm and people do judge. This is my story.
Film Science Stars is an all-girl science club where we connect science with real-life, everyday issues. We explore relevant issues scientifically in order to answer our questions and curiosities. We were interested in East High School's views and experiences with teen depression, so we constructed a survey about it. We made the survey available for both males and females. 182 people took the survey total. 76 people were males and 106 were females. We surveyed both East High School and East Middle School and other high schools and middle schools as well. But the majority of the survey was from East High School, which was 69%.
60% of the survey takers said they don't get help for depression, but the other 40% do get help.
The 40% of the survey takers said they mainly got help from their mom, their parents, a family member, or a school counselor. We asked the other 60% of our survey takers why don't they get help for depression. 46% said it's because they don't need it, 16% said they don't have the time, and 17% said they don't know where to get the help.
To help us understand how complicated depression can be, we did a fun experiment. We asked each science star to represent her situation with a paper doll. Each part of the body represents one possible cause of depression. One arm, lifestyle, as in, do you get enough sleep, eat right, do you drink or smoke? The other arm, family history. Do you have a parent or cousin with depression or anxiety? One leg, past trauma, anything really bad happened to you that still affects you today. The other leg, got any other medical issues? The body, how is your social life? Any drama? Your head, do you have any people to talk to? We asked each star to rate these causes of depression from 1, really sad, to 5, really happy face. And this is what we found.
Of the 14 stars, 2 people have happy family histories. Most stars feel that their lifestyle is positive. About half of us have experienced something bad enough in life we call trauma. Only one of us felt like there was nothing such as stressful drama going on right now.
See how this is complicated? See how complicated it is?
Yes, it's complicated.
It's complicated.
Oh my God.
We have a population of kids here who have pretty significant mental health needs. They've got a lot going on at home. There's a lot going on in the community. There's a lot going on. There's tons of violence in the community. But at the same time, the first priority here is always going to be education. I suspect that the level of stress that most kids are under is not really a normal amount of stress. We just sort of have come to believe it's normal. It's not normal when I ask a class of kids, how many people know someone who was murdered, and like most of the class raises their hand. That's not actually normal, it's just normal here.
We were wondering if there were any differences between boys and girls with depression.
Who do I see more depression in, boys or girls? I think girls are quicker to identify it, talk about it, name it, admit to it. But honestly, I think it's pretty evenly matched. I think it's just more of a difference in terms of who's actually, it's sort of okay for you and I to admit that we're depressed, and if a guy is trying to be tough, he's not going to admit to that. I think it's harder for the guys because they're not supposed to appear weak, right? And there's such a pressure out there for that it's harder for them to get to it.
Girls have a high awareness of what symptoms of depression are. They often know when they're depressed. We learned from Ms. Ethan's interview that girls are more depressed than boys. It's just that they seek more help more often than boys do.
A lot of times with depression, you will see that irritability with teenagers, and people don't realize somebody might actually be depressed, but they might not think of what's considered characteristic, sad, down, moping, but they might be more irritable as a symptom of depression also. Examples of symptoms that it would be affecting would be concentration, appetite, sleep, relationships, motivation. We'd see schoolwork, for example, would go down. Relationships can be really disruptive, and sometimes people think of depression as somebody is really sad and feeling down and low.
I used to get bullied when I was little, and a lot of people did not like me, and I was always different than everybody else, and then my family it was hard.
We set up a photo booth in East High's cafeteria during lunchtime. The purpose of the photo booth was for us to get East High's opinion on teen depression or depression in general, anonymously. We had students choose from 3 questions to answer, write it down on a piece of paper, and then take a picture of it. The results from East High's students were very interesting and obvious that they put a little emotion into their answer.
From our survey, our interviewers with experts and researchers learned what we already knew. Depression is real and it hurts.
What do we do about it? What do we do when the stress is building? How do we make it stop? I go through a lot with my mom, so like I don't have as much people to talk to like I used to. So basically my coping is cutting. So I don't understand why people say when you cut, you're trying to commit suicide or you're suicidal, because it's not suicidal. It's just relief and pain.
Well, I started cutting about 2 years ago, and I don't remember the reason why, but I know I got into a really big argument with somebody, and I just felt really bad. And I felt like, well, I hurt this person, I should hurt myself. I should be punished for hurting this person. And then I started, and it just got really addicting, and it was really hard to stop. I mean, I fully have not stopped, but it's not as bad as it used to be. And that, well, it's just really hard to stop, and it makes me feel better.
There's been an uprise of cutting behaviors. I think something that's really important to know about that is that does not always mean that somebody's suicidal. It certainly means that they're hurting themselves, but sometimes cutting is actually an addictive behavior. When someone cuts themselves, if you think about when you get hurt, it releases chemicals in your brain that try to dull pain, right? And so if you think about it, cutting yourself actually releases some chemicals that make you feel better.
I do have a lot of scars on my legs, my arms, and that's why I usually wear hoodies every day, because I'm scared that if I don't wear a hoodie and people see my arms, they're going to be like, oh, that girl's crazy, that girl's insane, and just scared of what people would say. You have to think about the future. You can't wear a short sleeve shirt. You can't wear shorts because people will see your scars. I mean, don't ever be embarrassed about it. I mean, it's you. You're not crazy. You're not insane. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Some things that I use to help cope. I listen to music sometimes, or I'll go on YouTube and I'll listen to some like meditation type thing and just relax and just like try to relax the muscles in my body, and I breathe and maybe talk to my mom, my dad, a close friend, call my counselor, and then maybe take a hot shower, lay down.
We wondered if there were other healthy ways of coping with depression. We interviewed Nurse Fairbanks about the benefits of owning pets in dog therapy. We found that animals help greatly with depression. Working with animals helps people develop empathy and provide confidence to communicate with others. We also learned that staying active and exercise are healthy ways of coping.
Let me take you inside our brains to explain neurotransmitters. Scientists have different guesses about how many nerve cells are trying to talk with each other in our brains, but it is something between 4 and 10 billion. That's a lot. If we zoom in and look closely at any 2 nerve cells trying to communicate with each other, this is what we would see. dendrites, a cell body where the nucleus is, and a long part called the axon. The end of the axon is called the axon terminal, because that's where it ends. Scientists think there are not enough colorful M&Ms or neurotransmitters in this space.
So what's going on when we take medications?
Medications block the first cell from taking these M&Ms back up, leaving more in the space so more can bind to the next cell.
The most successful really depends on the person. The research would say a combination of medication and talk therapy with a therapist. And what a therapist does that's different than maybe just talking with another trusted person is sometimes they're really good at listening for the way a person is thinking about their situation. Like maybe they have a habit of blaming themselves or seeing the worst. And sometimes a therapist can really help people like interrupt thoughts that are not really productive, that are going to get people stuck.
What do I have planned for today? Oh yeah, Lana has a birthday party later on tonight. But I'm not in the mood. I just want to be alone. But my therapist says I have to get out more. But I really don't want to go. I just want to stay in bed, listen to my music. I don't want to be around people and their happy faces and their perfect lives. My life could be perfect too if I just get out more. But I have nothing to wear. People are going to judge me. Who cares what people says? It's my opinion that matters. I need to stop making excuses and just do it. Word to Nike. I don't care. I don't care what Nike says. I just want to be alone. You can do this. Just start by getting dressed and head out the door. Let's go from there. Okay, fine. Let's go. I've been going to counseling for about a year, and they put me on some medication for my anxiety to help calm down. And
what would you tell somebody that wants help but hasn't gotten any?
Well, I would tell them to talk to a family member, or maybe talk to a doctor, talk to a close teacher.
But there are also chemical depressions where people really, it's not like they can just snap out of it. And so I think that we forget sometimes that depression is a disease, that just like, somebody with diabetes can't help it that their pancreas, isn't regulating their insulin well. Someone with depression can't just decide to feel better that day. It's not that simple for them.
What they speak with and share with me stays here. So I'm confidential. Resilience. I am so impressed with, despite the many challenges they have in their lives, they are resilient.
Well, when I hear the word "you are not alone," I think about that as people can relate to me, people can understand what I'm going through, people can help, and there are people who would be there for me and not make me feel like I'm just this person who's the only person going through this. The message that I give to people is that they're not alone, and a lot of people do go through this, and that there are people to help and people to talk to. And I have a lot of friends who go through this, and I always am here to talk to them.
Depression hurts and it affects a lot of us.
But there are many ways you can deal with stress. Just remember, you can get help, you just have to want it.
Even though the causes for stress may be complicated. You are not alone! 17% of the teens from our survey said they didn't know where to get help. The Center for Youth has a 24-hour confidential hotline for teens needing help.